Love it or hate it, Starbucks is a near-ubiquitous feature on the coffee shop landscape. In many cities, you can't go more than a few blocks without stumbling across a green sign bearing the now iconic Starbucks mermaid logo. Like any major company specializing in food and drink, Starbucks' menu is constantly metamorphosing. Throughout his streaming career, Xqc has added a touch of chaos to any game he decides to play. From Grand Theft Auto to Overwatch to platforms like Twitch and Twitter, Xqc has been banned from them all. Sure, there are some stalwarts that are always there, like the lattes and the mochas. Sometimes, Xqc's bans are the result of a misunderstanding or because of rules violations in specific communities, but other times, a series of unexpected events leads to the ban in question. No matter why Xqc gets banned from a platform or game, his legions of fans continue to admire his ambition, energetic personality, and adventures in the digital space. Xqc has risen to fame over the past few years for his personality, but he's also demonstrated his persistence. Depending on when and where you next find yourself there, however, you may also encounter more unusual, fleeting Starbucks menu options. After each ban, Xqc and his fans have fought to see him reinstated in whatever game or platform he's been kicked off of. The coffee shop staple has long tested new drinks at different locations over many years. Some, like the much-discussed pumpkin spice latte, have become wild successes that reappear every season. Yet, for every PSL, there seems to be a series of odd ducks that never make it past their initial test. Don't take this as condemnation of an experimental drink's flavor, however. Most bans have been reversed, leaving Xqc to re-enter the gaming spaces that ousted him and bring his specific brand of streaming. Starbucks has to look out for its bottom line, of course, and in so doing, they may have quashed some truly interesting and tasty drinks. While Xqc definitely has a shady side, it's unclear whether all of his bans were deserved. Fans are left to judge for themselves. Xqc got banned from Twitter as part of a DMCA crackdown in late 2020. Xqc got the boot from one of the most popular social networks, Twitter. He got a notice from the platform, claiming he'd violated the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA. The DMCA works to protect copyrighted material in digital spaces, and Xqc violated it by showing a short clip from an old stream he'd broadcast a year prior. After Xqc regained his privileges on Twitter, he voiced his frustration by tweeting, "DMCA for a year-plus-old 10s clip from my own stream. Wonderful and well-thought-out system. Next stop? Jail." The DMCA violation came as part of an effort to crack down on the infringement of copyrighted material online, and other streamers voiced their consternation over Twitter's latest crackdown. Until Starbucks decides to bring back some of these discontinued drinks, we can't know for sure. Strawberry shortcake frappuccino. We might as well make it clear that few, if any, of the drinks featured here could be considered health food. Frappuccinos, for instance, are basically giant sugar bombs with a bit of flavor and whipped cream added. Pokimane humorously said she'd see Xqc in jail for her own violations. Xqc wasn't the only streamer affected by efforts to find and eradicate streams that featured copyrighted material. Of course, ordering one on occasion is fine for many people. Twitch and other social platforms penalized many streamers for old material that violated the DMCA, even slightly. While Xqc's ban from Twitter was only temporary, it brought more voice to streamers' frustration with the DMCA crackdown. Twitch banned Xqc for stream sniping. Twitch is the bread and butter of many streamers' livelihoods. It's where a simple match of Fortnite can turn into an 8-hour marathon and where streamers flock to interact with their fans via intimate Q&As. Being banned from Twitch can spell certain doom for streamers, but it didn't for Xqc, who managed to finagle his way out of a ban. During a Fall Guys tournament, Xqc allegedly stream sniped another player, which was a violation of the tournament's rules and general streamer etiquette. Stream sniping involves players watching competitors online in order to determine where they are on the map, making it easy to track them down and defeat them. Yet, even if you make it a rare treat, you may want to mix it up every once in a while. Stream sniping has long been a problem in competitive online games like Fortnite, driving streamers like Ninja to say they'll never play the game again. After being eliminated in a massive battle royale in Fall Guys, Xqc began stream sniping in order to take out his team's opponents. Standby flavors like chocolate and caramel are only going to take you so far once you've established a real Starbucks habit.
That's why the strawberry shortcake frappuccino is genuinely missed. Sure, it was sweet. Yes, it was aggressively pink. But it was also a nice bridge between summer and fall, introduced as it was by Starbucks in late August 2015. You could sip on the semi-frozen mixture of fresh strawberry juice, hazelnut syrup, and vanilla bean and believe that maybe summer could hold on for just another week or two. Starbucks could do well to bring this icy drink back, even if only for a few weeks. Mazagran. Throughout its history, Starbucks has tried out some pretty strange stuff. Perhaps the oddest of all was a fizzy coffee concoction that debuted in the 1990s known as the Mazagran. According to Business Insider, the Mazagran was a co-production with PepsiCo that produced a gently carbonated, coffee-flavored drink marketed as a sparkling coffee. Customers gave it a try in 1994 but offered up a pretty lukewarm reception to the fizzy newcomer. Since Xqc's was also streaming, it was simple to see, and document, that he was cheating, leading many viewers to wonder if Twitch would ban him for his misdeeds. Twitch did, in fact, ban Xqc's, albeit temporarily. As Howard Schultz remembered in his book, via Google Books, the bottled Frappuccino was then introduced in 1995, and its popularity quickly eclipsed the Odd Duck of the Mazagran, exiling it to obscure legend. Given that the Mazagran was only tested for a short time in Southern California on tap, via Los Angeles Times, and then briefly nationwide in the bottled version, it's possible that it didn't get a fair shake. Around the time Xqc's received a temporary Twitch ban, he posted that his fans should stop defending him and that while he sometimes thinks his actions are funny, they're still malicious. Of course, it's not so easy to sway fans, and Xqc's still enjoys a healthy following despite his actions. Dallas Fuel and the Overwatch League. Xqc's once enjoyed membership on a stellar, Overwatch team, Dallas Fuel, but he ruined his chances of a career with them after a series of unfortunate choices in 2018. The saga of Xqc's bans, and then dismissal, from the Overwatch League remains one of the shadiest moments in the streamer's past. In January 2018, Xqc's was banned by Dallas Fuel for a homophobic rant on air. According to Polygon, Xqc's directed a homophobic statement toward fellow competitor Muma after he made fun of Xqc's frequent catchphrases. The Overwatch League immediately took action, fining Xqc $2,000 and banning him for 4 games. For their part, Dallas Fuel agreed with the Overwatch League's decision. Unfortunately, that offense was the beginning of the end for Xqc's time with Dallas Fuel. He was also suspended for spamming a chat with racist emotes, and the combination of offenses led Dallas Fuel to kindly dismiss Xqc from the league. At any rate, the idea of a coffee-flavored soda, or even a carbonated iced coffee, is intriguing. It seemed like Xqc's exit was best for both him and the league, as he'd called the Overwatch League and its players a cancer online. Xqc's offensive comments to League of Legends players. Xqc was permanently banned from popular competitive game, League of Legends, after repeated offenses against the game's user policy. Tasters over at Starbucks Melody got their hands on 15-year-old bottles and tried the now rather vintage Mazagran. According to Dexerto, Xqc decided to play League of Legends while on a ban from Overwatch, but things quickly turned sour once users began reporting him because they found his in-game comms extremely inflammatory and offensive. In private chats, Xqc allegedly harassed players, which led them to submit reports on the streamer and trigger an investigation into his communication. Xqc responded in a non-apology on Twitter, writing, "It is never my intention to harass or use in-game chat in an abusive manner. Banter is fun and 100% of the time I type something to someone I know they are playing along and won't be hurt." They reported that it was actually pretty good, at least if the drink was served cold. Unicorn Frappuccino. Though it's only been a few years since the Unicorn Frappuccino made waves amongst Starbucks fans, the luridly colored drink remains divisive. Some can't stand the thought of taking a sip from its intensely sweet, neon-hued depths. "If I ever typed something and you were genuinely hurt, I am sorry. I will be better." Some fans clapped back by speculating that it must be tiring to have to apologize for a new scandal every month. Others at least have the honesty to admit that there's something about this drink that makes them wish it would come back, even if only for a short time. Xqc's permaban remains in place in League of Legends, and there's no chance the streamer can return to the arena. Xqc's many bans from the NoPixel GTA role-playing server. Xqc's ban from NoPixel's GTA role-playing server is complicated, but the offenses seem similar to his behavior on other platforms. First, Xqc was on thin ice after breaking character in order to tell another player to kill themselves. He quickly had his first ban reversed and returned to no pixel, only to be banned again, and again, and again. Maybe it's the magic of unicorns, after all. According to Starbucks, the Unicorn Frappuccino actually was briefly re-released in 2017 for a scant 5 days. After his 5th ban from No Pixel, Xqc said he was fine with the ban and figured he probably deserved it. Grand Theft Auto role-playing typically has a long list of rules associated with it and requires players to strictly adhere to them in order to remain part of a role-playing server. Xqc's initial ban ruffled feathers, but a later ban occurred after Xqc provoked 2 other players into breaking character. On their respective streams, the 2 players launched into tirades about Xqc and his dedicated fans. It included pink powder, the Frappuccino base with a mango syrup, and an intensely blue sour syrup drizzle. Xqc tweeted that he didn't intend to hurt anyone with his actions and that he deserved his ban. Despite saying that there was no malice in his actions, Xqc got slapped with a permaban, meaning that he can no longer participate in GTA role-playing with no pixel. The toothache-inducing affair was topped off with vanilla whipped cream and more pink and blue powder. Baristas would hand over a purple drink that, with a few stirs, would turn pink almost as if by magic. Critics have argued that this is all a cheap gimmick, but don't we deserve a little silly joy every once in a while? Can't we unself-consciously clap our hands like children as our sugar drink changes color? At least, given how popular the Unicorn Frappuccino was during its time in the spotlight, there's a chance we might see this drink sometime again. Tazo tea infusions marketed by Starbucks as a way to take a quick, quiet break during a busy workday. Tazo tea infusions were first released in late 2008. Essentially, the barista would steam up some black chai tea with fruit juice, creating a caffeinated, dairy-free beverage. There were 2 varieties available: a berry chai infusion with cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves, and an apple chai infusion with sweet spices. The Tazo tea infusions have since faded away, perhaps because people confused them with the Starbucks milky tea lattes that debuted at the same time. Some of those offerings, like the London Fog Tea Latte, made with lavender and vanilla, are still available today. Why not the tea infusions? They sound perfectly nice, especially if you're hoping for a break from the more intensely sweet or dairy-heavy drinks on the menu. Maybe that was the issue, as quite a few Starbucks patrons are more than happy to down sugary stuff like frappuccinos and lattes. Zombie Frappuccino. It could be that the Unicorn Frappuccino debuted by Starbucks was never going to be your thing. Perhaps it was too twee, so full of sugar and food coloring that you couldn't stand it. For some, though, the call of the themed Frappuccino was still all too enticing. Enter the Zombie Frappuccino. Launched by Starbucks in 2017, it was actually the latest in a line of spooky Halloween-themed sugar drinks to come out of the coffeehouse. The Zombie was preceded by the Franken Frappuccino in 2014, which was followed by the Frappula Frappuccino for the next 2 years. After the Zombie had its day, Starbucks released a Witch's Brew Frappuccino made with an orange creme base. The Zombie Frappuccino had a green tart apple body, topped with pink whipped cream, brains, and covered in a red mocha drizzle. Yes, the drink was clearly a gimmick, as were all its Halloween predecessors, but it was still fun. Maybe it's missed because, like all the spooky season drinks, this one was only available for a few days. Surely, next time, Starbucks can give us the whole ghoulish Frappuccino team for a couple of weeks at least. Chili Mocha. Back in 2016, a Starbucks press release promised patrons the opportunity to truly mix up their fall drink experience with the Chili Mocha. Too bad it was going up against the ultimate heavyweight of caffeinated fall drinks, the pumpkin spice latte. Honestly, nothing that faces off with the PSL is going to come out on top, no matter how good it is. There will always be a ravenous horde of coffee drinkers clamoring for their gently spiced drinks that recall pumpkin pies and go well with aesthetic Instagram shots of plaid shirts and big scarves. They're missing out. According to Bustle, the Chili Mocha boasted good chocolate flavor, but what really made the drink stand out was its spicy topping, which included a dusting of cinnamon, ancho chili, paprika, cayenne, sea salt, and sugar. If only this drink would return, just so we could boast about being ever so slightly more daring than the PSL crowd. Frappuccino juice blends. Starbucks has been around long enough as a company to know where its money comes from. Sure, Their plain coffee is pretty decent. But look around the store next time you're there, especially if it happens to be summer. Count the number of frappuccinos you see in people's hands. You'll understand. Therefore, it's no surprise, really, that Starbucks endlessly revisits their ultra-sweet, frosty cold cash cow. Even without seasonal variations, there is a veritable galaxy of frappuccinos on the menu. There are caramel frappuccinos, mocha ones, fraps that change color, ones that come with chocolate bits sprinkled all over, and more. Frankly, that's only the tip of the caffeinated iceberg. All that dairy starts to feel pretty heavy, though. That's why it would be lovely if Starbucks brought back their blended juice frappuccinos. Those debuted way back in 2006, according to Business Wire, consisting of Tazo green tea and a frappuccino juice blend. The drink came in variations of pomegranate and tangerine, two perfect flavors for a lighter summer treat. Cherry's Jubilee Mocha. At first blush, the idea of combining fruit and coffee seems pretty solid. After all, coffee beans themselves are part of a fruit called a cherry, and different varieties of coffee beans have fruity finishes. So, it makes sense to pair up actual fruit flavors like cherry with coffee classics like Starbucks Mocha, right? Consumers didn't seem to agree back in 2013, as detailed by Today. That's when the Cherry's Jubilee Latte and Mocha popped up in a few test cities, according to Starbucks Melody. Essentially, it was a mocha blended with cherry syrup, topped with a bit of cocoa powder and a cherry drizzle. What was the problem? It could be that the cherry syrup needed a pretty delicate touch. A heavy-handed barista could have easily made the whole thing taste like cough syrup. Still, those flavors of chocolate, coffee, and cherry sound intriguing enough for at least one more try. Xqc'S. There's always been plenty of talk about the calorie value of Starbucks drinks. It's true that a dedicated frappuccino habit isn't really helping anyone, health-wise. But, believe it or not, even the sweetest, heaviest drinks currently on the Starbucks menu can't hold a candle to the discontinued forbidden fruit known as the Xqc'S. According to CNN, the Xqc'S, so named after an Aztec deity of hearth and home, debuted in 2005. Starbucks billed it as a drinkable dessert. A 6-ounce cup was made with cocoa butter and whole milk, producing something like a liquid chocolate truffle. Alas, it also packed in 390 calories and a dizzying 20 grams of fat. To be fair, no one ever marketed the Xqc'S as a health food. Neither does it appear to have come in larger sizes. Still, those stats were apparently too much for consumers, so Starbucks quietly retired the Xqc'S, via BuzzFeed. Yet, the mystique of such an astoundingly decadent drink remains compelling. No one should make it their daily dose of caffeine, to be sure, but aren't you at least a little interested? It may be only an urge that will fade once the first sip passes your lips, but it would be nice to have the chance to try the Xqc'S, if only to say you've done it. Maple macchiato. Turns out, the United States had a shot at enjoying the maple macchiato in 2012. But, like so many delectable drinks that have come and gone through Starbucks doors, this one is no longer with us. At least, it isn't if you're south of the US-Canadian border. According to Grub Street, Canadian customers get to drink the maple macchiato pretty much whenever they want, as it's now a permanent menu item in that country's locations. It makes sense, given the fact that Canada is all over the maple syrup business, to the extent that a maple leaf is featured prominently on its national flag. Shouldn't Canada's neighbour to the south get another chance with the maple macchiato, too? It sounds pretty good, especially if it comes with Quebec maple syrup drizzle from the Beauce-Appalaches region, as the Starbucks Canada Facebook page describes it. Wouldn't it be nice to try something with that sort of complexity and sweetness, instead of yet another hazelnut something or other? Hopefully, Starbucks will rethink their decision and at least save some of us from a long, border-crossing road trip in search of a new macchiato. Valencia Orange Refresher. Perhaps one of the most controversial cancellations in Starbucks drink history was the widely decried cancellation of the Valencia Orange Refresher. You may at first want to shrug your shoulders and tell the bereaved caffeine hounds to go drink a glass of orange juice instead, but don't underestimate their love for this discontinued Starbucks drink. According to Business Insider, Starbucks' dissolution of the Valencia Orange Refresher in 2015 left fans devastated. Even if you never got the chance to try the dearly departed drink, a description of its contents might help you understand the fracas.
It was an iced drink with a gently caffeinated base, flavored with orange peel, cardamom, jasmine, and apricot, and it was served with an orange slice. Even casual fans were confused by the company's decision. Surely, the Valencia Orange refresher was popular enough to keep around? Given the aggrieved reaction on social media, there may be a chance that this light, juicy summer drink will return one day, as it very well should. Dark barrel latte. In the never-ending quest for novelty and new lattes, Starbucks is bound to make mistakes. However, while out there offerings like the dark barrel latte were definitely judged a misstep by many customers, the concept is engaging enough that some Starbucks aficionados may want to get another crack at the discontinued latte. Like many of the coffee chain's newest flavors, the dark barrel latte was tested in just a few locations in 2014, via Los Angeles Times. It quickly proved controversial, with some Twitter users calling it horrid. That's because the latte incorporated the flavor of Guinness, a dark stout popular amongst beer drinkers. While it didn't contain any alcohol, Delish reports, it's easy to understand why many customers weren't going for the new drink on the block. Beer often presents a pretty distinct flavor profile with a bitter edge, especially a dark stout like Guinness. That can quickly clear a divide between drinkers who like the bitterness and those who might prefer another ultra-sweet frappuccino with extra caramel sauce. However, it's not so wild to pair coffee and beer flavors. Both bitter brews have their own dedicated fanbase, while stout also pairs well with chocolate flavors that can pop up in certain coffee roasts. Devotees of both might better enjoy the dark barrel latte in a chocolatey mocha form, to better balance out the Guinness flavors in the blend. Starbucks Granitas. There seems to be a way of thinking that sweeps Starbucks drinks into one of two very broad categories: warm and comforting, or cool and refreshing. Do you want a hot latte with a creamy texture and a sweet, maybe savory syrup? Or, would you prefer an iced beverage, perhaps with a tart edge that pairs well with the hot, sunny days of summer? For Starbucks customers who tended towards the second category in the summer of 2016, there was the Starbucks Granitas, based on a classic Italian dessert made from often coarsely ground ice and flavoring. According to Bustle, these drinks had an icy, fluffy texture not unlike the beloved Frappuccino, but without the rather heavy cream base. Instead, the Granitas were considerably lighter, with flavors like Tivana youthberry white tea and strawberry lemon limeade. Customers who couldn't quite let go of the extra sweet side of things could also order a caramel espresso granita. The Starbucks Granitas, which were available after 3 p.m. on the Sunset menu, weren't long for this world. Just a few weeks into the summer, Starbucks Twitter reported that it simply was no longer as popular with customers. Perhaps they were too hasty, however. Yes, it sounds like the Granitas were basically dressed up slushies, but isn't that part of the appeal? It could still be a really nice summer evening treat if only Starbucks would bring it back, perhaps even with some updated flavors. Apple crumble frappuccino. Yes, there are plenty of ways to get your apple-infused fix at Starbucks. Currently, most U.S. locations offer a hot caramel apple spice or simply some steamed apple juice, the former presumably for those of us still making our way through elementary school. For a brief period in 2011 through 2012, however, there was another way. Like so many things that were here for just a short, underappreciated moment in time and then gone like dust in the wind, we'd really like to have it back. We are, of course, referring to the apple crumble frappuccino. Starbucks Melody reports that this drink was briefly tested in North Carolina and Japan in 2011, along with the similar apple crumble latte. A year later, the very same frappuccino was spotted in Warsaw, Poland, according to Starbucks Melody. It quietly faded from the world stage soon thereafter, never to be seen or tasted in the years since. Still, this is one discontinued Starbucks drink that we'd like to try again.